So I am here with Jack for his round four confessional. Um, so Jack, if you have anything that you want to start off the confessional with saying, you can start now, or I can ask you questions, whichever you prefer.
Things are going okay. I have my competition tonight for the storytelling. I'm going first. I think I'll be good, but I'm a little worried. Hopefully, I don't let my team down. And now we can get into questions.
So talk to me about Jen winning her second high roller and her, breaking down these teams. How did you feel, or how do you feel on the team that you're currently on now?
So Jen won the high roller. I thought I had this high roller competition in the bag with my score. And then Jen swooped in and beat me to it, which good for her because it was a very impressive go. But I thought I had some power and I was going to be able to work with it. But I'm on a team now with Tyler and Erica and Rayanne and Brian. I feel okay about it. I think we're getting into the point in the game where there's no team that I'm going to be feeling an absolute slam dunk on. Now that people are starting to, we've gotten rid of people who aren't really as conversational or have more scheduling conflicts, and it's really getting into everyone's here playing, and nobody is a bad choice to keep around, and no one's a bad choice to get rid of, which I think applies to everybody on this side, unfortunately, including myself.
So, what do you think is so? First of all, let's talk about the competition. How do you feel going into this? You know the direction, you kind of know what this competition is about, and you mentioned that you're going first. How do you feel about that in particular? That position going first, I feel like is a tough position to be in, right?
It is. I mean, there's no good position for this kind of challenge because if you're bad at remembering details, then you set the whole thing going. I think the most perilous position is last because you're the one who gets all the points to the team. But first is just right after because I am going to be the only one to get to hear the story full as it's told. So it puts a lot of pressure on me to start us off strong. But, my team and I were talking about it. I feel like I'm going to be a kind of memorial person. I'm detail oriented in my life. I'm planning on taking a nap like right after this confessional before the comp because I have a little bit of a layover. And I don't know. I think there's no unintimidating spot in this kind of challenge. So I'll do what my team needs me to.
I know it's early, but say you guys don't do well and you end up losing. Do you think that it's going to be a joint elimination? Do you think it's going to be a double elimination? What do you think the elimination kind of breakdown is going to be? And give me a scenario for either or on what you would want to do.
So my inkling is I need to prepare for the worst case scenario, which is these five go to a tribal elimination uh, ceremony by themselves with no influence of other groups. I think if we are in a joint tribal, both groups have someone that I could point to and say, this is the name that I would like to see going. I think those are probably Tawny and Julian, respectively. But on this side, it's Brian, unless it's Erica, unless it's Tyler. But like, I could keep any of those, and all three of them maybe would want to go for me. So it's really dicey, especially in a 6 vote, especially with someone like Jen coming in where I don't really know where she stands yet. I've never attended an elimination ever, so it makes me nervous just right off the get-go. But like an elimination of 6 with some people who I'm not quite sure where they stand because I've not had to see them put their money where their mouth is with me yet. So I am trying to be openly communicative to everybody. I want people to come to me. I want people to feel like they can work with me long forward. I want to work with everyone on this side long forward if I can. But it's really just a matter of making sure that they feel the same way about me, so they all don't write my name down.
Talk to me about not having gone to elimination. I think you're one of two or three people that have not had to vote yet or even entered an elimination. So, with not having to kind of write your a person's name down, talk to me about that and how you mentioned you were nervous about that.
Right. I'm nervous going into any elimination ever under any circumstances because there's always in the back of your head this little thing of like, I feel pretty good, but like, what if everyone's lying to me? What if everyone's not telling me the truth? What if everyone's like plotting behind my back and secretly hates me and wants to get rid of me? There's always that little bit of worry. Not having to go to elimination for the first 3 rounds of the game, I don't have that worry yet. And everyone else has kind of put in that, oh, this is a real game whose point is to vote people out. I haven't had to do that yet. And so it's good because I feel like, everyone can be my friend and everyone can be buddy-buddy. I haven't had to put my money where my mouth is yet. But on the same time, there's also that level of I haven't put my money where my mouth is yet. So does my mouth mean anything? Votes are power in this, and I haven't shown anybody that they can use my power for them or things of that nature. I think I'm getting blurry on the metaphor here, but nobody has any proof of where I stand because I haven't ridden anybody to go home yet. I've just been on challenge teams that have done well, that have allowed me to kind of sit and watch at home.
So, talk to me about the two twists that are going on in the game. Talk to me about gambled votes. There's been 3 eliminations. A lot of people have began to gamble their votes. And then talk to me about these poker chips. With all these competitions happening, the poker chips are adding up, and the ability to purchase powers are now getting closer to that time. Is that something you're thinking about? Talk to me about those two twists.
Oh, yeah, no, as soon as I get 5 chips, I want to buy a power. Like, that's not a question. I do think that I'm not the only person who's thought that way, and I know that you can bequeath chips to people when they're voted out. So I know that there are, Kendall had a chip, Chloe had a chip. There's 2 chips out there that are just, hey, you were nice to me as you pushed me out the door. Here you go, best of luck. But I think I'm already being seen, like Jack's won a lot of challenges, never gone to an elimination. He's got 3 chips in the back of his pocket. I think that's definitely a factor going forward, especially, people are going to team up. They're going to try to pool their chips, maybe buy something nice as a group. I think it's starting to get to the point where that's a real deal thing. In terms of vote gambling, I mean, we've had, 6, 7 people gamble their votes so far. And the longer this game goes on, the earlier votes I feel like are more layups. Safe to gamble your vote. Why wouldn't you? It's not going to be you. It's obviously going to be this person. Hold your vote. It'll come in handy later. I do not think we are going to be in that position for very long. I certainly feel uncomfortable gambling any vote at any point. If I were going to do it, it probably would have been at one of those first 3 eliminations. So I think we're going to start seeing, bonus votes popping up as people using them. And it's not just how many people gambled their vote, but how many people used a vote that they've previously gambled. So it'll be interesting to see.
Who do you trust the most in the game, and who do you trust the least?
Ooh, great question. I think I trust Alex the most. Alex told me some stuff. He said, just, you didn't hear it from me, but word's on the street that your name is also on the street. And I don't think it's going to go anywhere, but I really appreciated that he told me that. In terms of who I trust the least, it would be Nolan. Nolan and I have had very little conversation. And when we have, it's been very introductory. We've never gotten on a phone call with each other. I think he's the only person I haven't gotten on a phone call with. That's not true. I haven't gotten on a phone call with Matt or Chris. But I at least talked to them, I think, more than I've talked to Nolan. I feel like I know a little bit more about Matt and Chris than I do about Nolan. Oh, now that I hear that I haven't talked much with Matt and Chris, that worries me. I haven't talked with Matt and Chris, and people think I'm cool with Tyler. I wonder what side of that war people think I'm on. But we'll see. I'm not committed to anything yet. Again, not having to put your money where your mouth is means your mouth can be in a couple of different places. So I think that's kind of it. I feel good about I also feel really good about Rayanne on this side. Rayanne hasn't been talking to a lot of people from what I've been told, and while she's doing stuff to remedy that, she's been talking to me the whole game. So that makes me feel pretty good. That we've built that sort of foundation up before we're going up to build other houses.
So when you began that answer, you said, "Oh, that doesn't make me feel good. I wonder what side of the war people think that I'm on," referring to Tyler, Matt, and Chris. Talk to me, elaborate on that.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that.
So the background information on that was in the last competition. Tyler and Drew, as the faces of the 2 of 3 casinos, led a deliberate effort to target the other casino in the challenge to disadvantage them and make it so they were not eligible to win it. Matt, who was on the casino, was not happy about it and vocal. Tyler continued to talk about it, and it turned into a discussion on Live Night. I don't think Tyler and Matt are very happy with each other. I don't think Chris is as well. I think war is maybe a little dramatic. I don't think it's a war. I don't think anything is a war yet. It's round 4. But this does seem like a very snowbally game where a little thing happens on a live night, and if people want to turn it into a big thing, it turns into a big thing. And if people want it to be a small thing, it's the small thing that leads to other small things that suddenly there's a line in the sand. Knowing that people could probably extrapolate where I stand on that, which is probably in favor of Tyler over Matt and Chris, is probably the most of a line that I've had drawn about me. I do want to make sure that Matt and Chris feel as though I'm more agnostic to it than I am. I don't think it's a decision that a lot of people are going to put a lot of weight on, especially as someone who is not really involved with it. But it's a game where everybody's talking to everybody, so I want to make sure that people think I'm good with them.
Were you aware of that happening before it actually happened in the challenge?
Yeah, we discussed it on our practice call that it would be a good idea to work with that. We were whichever one wasn't the best Western. It's hard to keep track of names. I have a sheet upstairs, but I'm not looking at it. But we had made an effort saying, we're down a player because Julian couldn't make it to the challenge. They're down a player because Chloe couldn't make it to the challenge. We should go after them because they have a one-person advantage. I didn't think it was going to be for the entire challenge. I thought it was going to be until somebody dropped. But then that gets into so who's the first to go against that side? And I don't think Tyler wanted to do it, and I don't think Drew wanted to do it first. So they just kept going. And I think not a bad strategy, maybe not the best way for it to play out for intersocial things, but also kind of not the skin under my nose. Is that the saying? No, it's no skin off my nose is the saying. So it's no skin off my nose here.
And then lastly, my question for you is, besides yourself, who do you think is in the best position in the game right now?
Jen, because she's safe. I think Jen's in a really good position because she's good at challenges. I think she's got good social connections with people. And those social connections, I think, are more of a mystery than other people's, where I feel like I sort of know where people are standing. So I would say Jen. According to my sheet, it's Alex, but I think it's more obvious that it's Alex, and the person who's in the best position in the game isn't the person who's the most obviously having the best position of the game. There's some nuance too. Not being a threat is really being a threat because it means that you're secret a threat, and everyone in this game is a kind of a threat.
With you answering that question with Jen, does that make you want to work with Jen, or does that make you want to go after Jen?
It makes me want to go after Jen, honestly. I would like to work with Jen, I think I could work with Jen, but I kind of also have in my thought, like I don't want to have somebody in the game who is going to be the high roller every time or every other time, because let's share the wealth a little bit here. And I don't think it would be a hard vote if Jen is not safe to say Jen wins every challenge, Jen holds all the power. Even if you feel like you're safe with Jen, understand that eventually there's going to be a point where like Jen's at the end and Jen says I hold all the power in the game, and that's all there is to it. Not like I'm thinking like about end game in round 4, but also I'm thinking about end game in round 4.
It's never too early to think about
It's
it.
never too early to think about the end.
But with that being said, Jack, those are all the questions I have for you at the moment. If you have anything else that we haven't touched on that you want to talk about, you can do so now, or I can stop this recording for you.
No, I think that's it. Thanks for having me.